Hi, everyone, and welcome to Vikings Now. Your Minnesota Vikings, after getting shut out, turned the table on the Washington Commanders 31-zip. Jim Rich along with Ahmad, Hicks, Pierre, Noujaim. And just like we all predicted, all the gloom and doom last week from you guys, I mean, jeez, just give them time. Kid's career day, 3 touchdown passes, no picks. Looked like the second coming of Sir Francis Tarkington.
Is that his official name?
Sir Francis?
Yeah,
Of
Sir
course it
Francis.
is.
Yeah, Sir
Yes.
Francis. Yeah. I think what we've been talking about all season long is we just want to see progress. You just want to see progress from the quarterback. He doesn't need to go out there and throw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns every single week. But the problem before today's game was with J.J. McCarthy, we weren't seeing progress from week to week. Even
It was alarming
the
last couple
yes,
of games.
very much so. And even in that Lions game that they won in Detroit a couple of months ago, the numbers that he put up didn't look all that great. I didn't think that he looked all that great in that game either. Granted, they got the win. But we hadn't seen progress from J.J. McCarthy up until today. And this, for the very first time in his career, I've been able to watch a game that he's played, and I thought to myself, finally, we have something to build on. Finally, there's some flashes of light, flashes of I agree. There's a no, that's okay. I'm with Jim. There's some context that needs
8
to be
losses in a row for him?
Oh,
Who cares?
not
We're not
yes,
keeping
8.
count.
Yes,
We're
8.
not keeping count.
There is context that needs to be added too, but at the same time, I would counter that it is still an NFL defense, and it is still prior to this point, prior to this game, I should say, like we were saying, we hadn't seen anything from J.J. McCarthy. So I don't care who is against. At least there's some sign of confidence moving into next week now.
Need I say more?
Well,
Nah,
you're
I'm just-
here,
I'm
so
just-
yes, you should.
Look, I'm not gonna just put my foot on the gas for J.J. McCarthy. Because while he did look better, had 3 touchdowns today, his average passing yards was, average distance, 7 yards. So that's what he averaged on his throws. You want to see that improve in this offense specifically. There was a moment at the end of the game, I think in the third quarter, Justin Jefferson wide open on a post. J.J. McCarthy didn't see him. Now, granted, the pocket did get a little muddy. He evaded that pressure right there, got outside the pocket, ran, picked up a first down with his legs. But you love to see him, escape the pocket, get his eyes back upfield, find your moneymaker, Justin Jefferson. He talked about it after the game. He said, I think everybody in the stadium knew I was open on that play. He was like, but, it is what it is. He's like, I'm not tripping off that. We'll watch film and we'll get it corrected. But I think it's something to build on, but I think it's also something needs to be said. The offensive line was healthy. All 5 starters were out there for all 60 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
First time that's happened all season. And you see what they were able to do with the rushing game. What was it, 34 attempts for 162 yards and 1 touchdown?
They didn't bail on the rushing game once.
They did.
Finally.
I thought about you on that 3rd and 1 touchdown for Jordan Mason. I said, all right, look what happens when they run on 3rd and 1, So, look, I think it was a total team effort, though. We've been talking about their defense, keeping them in games, doing what they needed to do the last couple of weeks. Finally, the offense helped them out. I still don't think that's anything where you're just like, oh, we're good. We're going to go win 4 straight. But we saw some signs of life today from McCarthy, which we hadn't seen.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest part of the game was the commitment to the run. Mm-hmm. They actually stayed with it. They didn't bail on it. And I think that was huge. How about O'Connell's decision to take the ball right out of the gate? That he said post-game that he wanted to get the offense on the field, get this going, get them going before the natives in Section 412 started raining down on them.
And look what happened. They took the opening possession and the opening drive, marched right down the field, went up 7-0 immediately, set the tone for the afternoon, go on to win the football game. Scored a touchdown on the first drive, first touchdown we've seen in 3 weeks.
First 2 drives touchdowns.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That second drive in particular too. Was it 19 plays? How many plays?
Yeah,
18,
it was,
19 plays.
98 yards, 12 minutes and a second.
Season high on all fronts in terms of plays, time of possession,
That's crazy.
yards. And it kind of felt after that long touchdown drive in that moment, it kind of felt like this game was getting close to being over. Now,
No, Van Ginkel ended it. That's where it ended.
Well, Van Ginkel ended it, yes, but more to the point, the game was over when Jaden Daniels was knocked out of the game. Washington had no hope after that when Jaden Daniels. Yeah. It's not because. Yeah, I would argue Jaden Daniels is a little more important to his team. I would kind of make that argument, but
Correct.
But I think that's what you wanted to see. It doesn't have to be explosive and flashy all the time. 19 plays, 98 yards. That's something that we hadn't seen from the offense in the last few weeks, too, was the ability to sustain drives.
12 minutes and 1 second.
Couldn't find first downs in the last few weeks. That was something that was very encouraging and reassuring, and kudos to Kevin O'Connell for getting it corrected this week and making this offense look competent.
That absolutely helps your defense. When they can hold Washington to a 3-and-out, to 6 plays. Outside of Washington's first drive where they had 15 plays and then they got stopped on that 4th down, the Commanders had 9 plays total outside of that first drive where they had 15. That's all credit to your offense and being able to stay on the field and give your guys a break.
Right. I mean, we'd always say everybody's going to all the defense, they're giving up touchdowns late. Well, they were out there for 3 extra quarters. This time they only had to play 3 quarters because the offense killed a quarter on their own.
Yeah.
But that drive tells you a lot of things because when they're that long of a drive, you have to have so many things called. You have to have so many people mentally sharp to not jump offside. We had, I think, 1 false start today. I mean, that's what I think is the biggest thing to take away from that marathon drive is that you have to consistently put play, they talk about stacking plays on top of plays. That's what that drive says to you because they put it together, marched the length of the field, and were out there for basically a whole quarter.
Yeah.
Without shooting themselves in the foot, which they have done numerous times this season.
I think we saw Kevin O'Connell tweak his playbook. I think he heard a lot of the outside noise in his play calling, his indecisiveness in certain situations. I think he went out there with that mentality that we're going to run the ball. We're going to be balanced to help out J.J. McCarthy. And J.J., just pitch and throw. Go make the simple throws. And what I love to see from 9 today was when the corners are playing soft on your outside X or Z receivers, they're giving them 8 to 9 yards at the beginning of the snap. You run a speed out right there. Like, that's on your receiver to get open, especially if you're in man-to-man coverage. And they were taking advantage of that time and time again. They were running what we call like Ohio routes, which is just quick outs or deep outs. They were running those all game long. And I think, that's something J.J. McCarthy has had confidence in, especially when you see your guys man-to-man on the edge, on the, boundary of the field, and then you get a chance to take that one-on-one matchup. So it was just clean pitch and catch football today. Nothing too simple. No 7-step drops with double moves and things like that in that first half.
So is that what they eliminated when he said that they're going to make it simple
for sure
this week for him? What exactly does that mean to the average fan?
Well, for me, first and foremost, how many times did you see J.J. McCarthy go up to the line of scrimmage today and yell, can, or maybe change the play or call an audible? I don't recall seeing it one time today. I mean, he was confident going up to the line of scrimmage, confident in the play, knowing where his reads were going to be at that time. That's the first indication for me, no doubt about it.
And I think for when coaches say we're going to keep it simple, like we're not going to do anything over the top. That means you're not running 7-step drops with double moves, or you're not running plays where you roll the whole offensive line to one
quicker.
Yes, it's quicker hitting
players
plays.
To
because
get off.
Normally, what you would see, like your deep routes, is like 15-yard digs or 15-yard comebacks, and then those set up to come back and go, or the dig and pump, and then you go upfield up the seam and stuff like that. But those are longer, drawn-out plays because not only do you have to give your guy 3 seconds to get down the field 15, 20 yards down, do a double move, then take off. Like you can see as I'm breaking it down, that's long. You know what I'm saying? So I think he eliminated all of those and said, you know what? Let's take what they give us. We're going to take speed outs. We're going to take quick ins. We're going to take our check downs. Let's swing the ball to the back. Like, let's run the ball. And I think that's what you saw. Now, you can't do that every week. Granted,
why not?
Because the Commanders' defense is really bad. But when you have cover,
you guys poo-pooed me when I said it was Washington.
I was just joking.
Wait a minute.
But it is.
Well, you can do that
there's
against
context.
Washington.
There's context.
But it's like if you try and run this offense with the team that can just put their best defensive back on both receivers and say, go stop these guys. Don't let them get over the top. Don't let them get all this stuff inside. And then you have guys up front that can generate pressure with just 4 guys. Then that's when that whole quick check game down, it doesn't work because you got people over top to help out. So you're going to have to open up the tool bag. You're going to have to pull some other tools out. But this was good to see, to get JJ some confidence, because you can't play football without confidence.
Yeah, two things. I agree with Ahmad. Two things that he pointed out that I totally agree with. One, in terms of the routes that he was talking about, the out routes. You saw him attack the boundary a lot today. And when you're attacking the boundary, the one thing that I want to see from a quarterback is how accurate you can be when you throw the ball to the sideline. J.J. McCarthy was quite good today throwing the ball to the sideline. There was one throw that he made to T.J. Hawkinson that was broken up, and I thought that was still a pretty good pass. I thought the defensive back made a great play on the ball because that ball looked like it was just a quarter of an inch behind Hawkinson, but for the most part, that ball was pretty much right on the money. I thought it was just a great defensive play. So attacking the boundary with accuracy today was huge for him, and more to the point, in terms of putting him in a position to succeed, he just looked really comfortable back there. He looked very comfortable and confident, like you're saying. The decision-making process today didn't look like the game was moving too fast for him, or he was over-accelerating in his own mind to try to make that throw. Because a lot of times we would see him, he would just rush a throw out really quick. You overthrow a guy, throw a guy behind, throw behind a guy as he's doing a cross route real quick. I just thought that he looked comfortable. And that goes, again, to Ahmad's point of credit the offensive line for giving him time back there to throw the football. But in terms of processing the game today, going from one read to the next, I think today was about as good as it gets so far in his young career.
It was a step in the right direction for his confidence, because something my coaches used to always say, like, footballs, there's a lot of stuff that you have to think about, but the more you're thinking about, the slower you're playing. He used to just tell us, go play fast. If you make a mistake, do it going 100 miles an hour. Well, obviously, that's not the mentality you can take being a quarterback and whatnot, because if you're playing 100 miles an hour, it's kind of like Pierre said, you're rushing throws, you're selling, quick checkdowns and stuff to Aaron Jones. You're selling that over his head and whatnot. But I do think that J.J. McCarthy play with that confidence and play like the guy that they knew they drafted in the first round that could lead this team. Now, granted, like you said, Washington Commanders defense, but you can't go out there and play slow if you're the quarterback, nor can you go out there and play confidently if you don't have that internal confidence. And I think that's just something we saw with J.J. McCarthy, because once you hear all that outside noise and everyone tell you how bad you really are, right, and you process that and you channel it and you block it out, you're like, all I got to do is go play football now. Just do the basics and people will be back on my side. And I think that's what he did today.
All right. So this makes no sense to me. You're teaching him footwork. You're teaching him proper throwing techniques. And then you just say, scrap it, just throw the football. Why the heck did we even bother teaching him if he didn't have one terrible throw today? Yours was the only example that really was, and that wasn't bad compared to what we saw where things were going 10 feet over people's heads and
I think that was just
people. And
I think that was just a scapegoat for Kevin O'Connell and the answer that he stuck with. And he brought up mechanics, and he was the one who would bring it up every week. And then because he kept bringing it up, well, now all the beat writers are asking him about JJ's mechanics and all these, fine detail nuances. And it's like you put a lot of
trying to be on Dancing with the Stars or something. Here's your footwork.
It's like, to a certain extent, I get where he was going, trying to protect his young quarterback and just talk about not big things that we could talk about, go look at in film, that other teams are starting to notice. I think he was just trying to be like, oh, this small thing, just work on his details. But then you start doing that, it gets into the back of his head. Now everybody in Minnesota is thinking like, oh, this guy didn't have the mechanics or tools to be quarterback and things like that, when in reality, Kevin O'Connell said last year J.J. McCarthy was right there where he needed to be, just needed to clean up just a couple of things with his footwork and whatnot. That's all he had to do. I think Kevin O'Connell put that unwanted pressure on his young quarterback because he was the one who kept bringing up his mechanics, his footwork, the technicalities of everything every single week. And then reporters are like, well, you open up Pandora's box, we're going to ask you a question. It's all about playing football. It's all about pitch and catch. That's what it boils down to. Some quarterbacks take 3 to 5 step drops all the time, have perfect framework. Some quarterbacks don't. You know what I'm saying? You got there doing what you were doing. So clearly it worked good enough to get drafted in the first round. So I don't think you needed to change everything like people kind of were made out to believe the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's still something weird there because you should still be able to throw a football, even in the game. Like, if your coach told you something to do in a game and it's not working for you, I'm assuming you would go back to what you were doing before.
Yeah.
So you'd think McCarthy would just say, forget this, I'm just throwing it the way I know how to throw it. Before we had to go through this and have a whole week and concussion protocol where we could sit with them for another week and just say, okay, just go back to who you were from Michigan, apparently. I mean, that what does that say about McCollum and the coaching staff here?
I'm not exactly sure.
They ruined the kid.
What was
I can just see the comment.
What was one of the first points that both of you brought up today? How efficient the running game was today.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the key, running the ball.
If you go back to his days in Michigan, and this is where I think it's a little – I don't know if it's unfair to criticize him for being in a system in Michigan that really relied heavily on a run game with Blake Corum and just the ground and pound style that they made. In Michigan, defensively, they were so good. They were up, 2-3 scores by the time the third quarter would roll around. They didn't have to do much, and that's kind of the system that he played in. I don't know if I'd say he's a victim of that, but I don't think it's any coincidence that he played his best game of the season coincided with one of the best games they had all season long running the football. And when you're putting it in your young quarterback's head, what was that? Who's making noise around here? It's like we got like a ghost in this studio right now. Some of the things I'm hearing. Anyway, sorry about that. I don't know what is going on outside our door.
Yeah, for people who aren't watching and listening, sorry for that.
But in terms of coinciding with how good the run game was today, we've been waiting for a game like this all season long. And then
it's Max wanting us out of his studio.
Yeah, shout out to Max.
And Adam.
We've been talking about all season long why this team would not be a little more balanced, and I hesitate to use that word really because if you're really good at doing one thing like running the ball, then keep running the ball. I don't need you to throw the ball. I don't need you to have exactly 30 pass attempts and 30 rush attempts.
That has not been O'Connell's offense.
I know, and that's
he's a guy who does not embrace the run. He would rather flip it to you on 3rd and 1 over the top than have
like
a power last week. Exactly. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's his MO. His offense is predicated on the quarterback, not on the running back.
I think what we're seeing is Kevin O'Connell maturing a little bit and having to realize, like, what?
I agree.
I don't have that.
Everybody was screaming at him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he knew they needed to get in the win column. And it's like, all right, if my plays aren't working, my 7-step dropbacks, my double moves to get these elite playmakers to ball in space not working, I got to dumb it down. And T.J. Hawkinson and Aaron Jones kind of got caught in the trap this week when they were talking about how they had to take some things out of the playbook. And obviously that's not something they enjoy doing. They want it all, the kitchen sink thrown at them. But do what you got to do to win the game. And I saw somebody say on X today, my God, why did it take Kevin O'Connell this long to dumb down the offense for this guy? Right. And it's like, look.
I think it's a fair question.
And it is a fair question, but it also does a disservice to everybody around you. And I think it's sometimes you're like he said, like sometimes you got to go out there and you got to go play football. Like, and we got to see what we got in you. So it's like we can't dumb it down this whole time. But it's like, because it's kind of like, you think about it in terms of like.
If you win, who cares what your playbook is?
Understandable, but
if you were trying to, it's again. I go back to it's not a developmental league. You have to figure out how to win on every Sunday, and if your opponent gives you this, then you better stick with it, even though it's not your favorite play.
If you're dumbing down your playbook, all right, so I'm going to break it down in layman's terms, like how installs works. Like, so you start out, you got your base play. So I don't know how many base plays they have in the NFL. In high school, college, for us, it was like you got a set of 15 plays. And then you just expand off those 15. You gradually go to like 30 to 45. So you got 45 plays. And then each week you're just building like add-ons, tags to this. So when we call this is a check to this, etc. We're in the NFL, you got a ton of plays. And think, if you slim it down to just your base plays, 45 plays, whatever the case may be, guess how hard it is to prep now. I mean, to prepare for your offense when you're the opposing team's defense. Like, they're like, oh, when they go to this formation, it's 2 wide here, we know what's coming, blah, blah, blah. So you can't dumb it down too much because this is still the National Football League, and these guys get paid millions of dollars just like the offense does. So you have to have those tricks, those motions, those new formations to run the same play and stuff like that. So you didn't see what we normally see offensively. And I think when you did see like the deep shot that Kevin O'Connell drew up for Justin Jefferson, he missed it. Like, but granted, the pocket was getting crashed. But so I think that's why when people say, well, why didn't you do this before? Well, you can't. Like, yeah, you can for the first couple of weeks, but then what are you going to do for the next 8 to 10 weeks of the season when everybody knows these are your 45 plays that you're running? Like, so you got to open up that playbook. Like,
you lose like what they did before when the playbook was wide open?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, but you dumb it down against Washington, then you got a high-scoring team like Dallas comes in, and you got to score. You're probably going to have to match them point for point. So it's like you can't have a simple offense going against a defense like that and a team that can match you point for point. You got to be able to put points up fast.
I think to Ahmad's point, there comes a time too where the players have to take accountability.
Yep.
Execution is where it is. If the play is there to be made, you got to go make the play. I mean, I can't imagine how many times over the last month probably where the Vikings have looked over at film and the play was there to be made. The quarterback just didn't make the throw, or the wide receiver dropped the ball, or somebody missed the block. When you're looking back at it on film, just because the play didn't work, I mean, it doesn't mean the play wasn't there to be had. So I think that's what Ahmad is trying to say here in terms of when it comes down to it. Yeah, you're a pro on defense who's trying to stop you and stuff like that, but on offense too, you expect guys to go out there and do your job. If you're a field goal kicker and you got a 30-yarder lined up and it's automatic and you're going to tie the game, even though I still remember the Daniel Carlson game in Green Bay from a number of years ago where he missed, I think, 2 field goals leading up to a potentially game-tying field goal, and he missed a field goal at the end of the game where the game resulted in a tie. Mike Zimmer got a lot of criticism as to why he trotted Daniel Carlson back out there after he was having a difficult game already, and his response, which I completely agreed with, was guys are expected to do their jobs. When you're a field goal kicker and going out 30, 35, 40 yards, that's almost automatic for every field goal kicker in the league. You are expected to do your job. So I think the players, in certain instances, have to brunt some of the responsibility for not executing when plays are there to be made.
And Jordan Addison said that this week. He was asked, they said, do you say anything to J.J. McCarthy amid his struggles to help him get back on track? He said no. He said he already has enough people in his ear consulting with him, telling him what he needs to do. He said, our job as receivers is to get open and catch the ball. He said, and if we start by just doing our job, I think that makes things simpler for J.J. McCarthy. And in some of these losses that we saw, granted, Kevin O'Connell was dialing up his plays, and they were there. And sometimes J.J. hit the guy, and they didn't make the catch. Or other times J.J. missed the guy. He didn't make the throw. So it's like, you can finger point a lot, but I think, as Pierre said, it all boils down to execution and why you don't limit your playbook as an offensive coordinator or a head coach. Because imagine the message you're sending to your guy, Jordan Addison or Justin Jefferson, when you say, hey, we got these digs and goes for you. We got these post corners for you. We got these corner posts for you. We got all these double moves for you. But guys, we're just going to run speed out, slants, and just stop routes so you guys can just get the ball, and it could just be really simple for J.J. McCarthy. They go look at you like, how long you think we about to do that? Like, that's not going to win games around here. So
you
that's
could tell Hawkinson's answer this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you
he
remember
said,
that one?
Where he was like, we don't like
he
this.
He really did want
Yeah, I mean, because it's like you look at basically 50 plays that you can run when you dumb it down, and then you look at like 120 tags. That's like, man, if we could just do that, get to a double move and protect him a little bit, we can go out here, we can do this play. Oh, they can't stop this play. But it's like it all boils down to, can your offensive line block for 5 to 6 seconds? Can your quarterback decipher a defense and hit the open man? Can your man catch it? It's a lot that goes into successful offenses and explosive plays like we fans love seeing.
All right, Justin Jefferson, 2 catches again this week, 4 targets. What has to happen there?
To be honest, in terms of like taking a broader scope of things and a bird's eye view, what has to happen is defense needs to stop trying to double team them.
Exactly.
That's what needs to stop happening, because I think defenses are keying in so hard on him. They are so afraid of letting 18 beat them that they're throwing everything in the kitchen sink to make sure that they make other guys beat them. We saw that happen today with Josh Oliver, with TJ Hockenson, Jordan Addison. We saw that happen today. I don't think it's anything that Justin is not doing or J.J. McCarthy is not doing. Of course, they want to try to get him involved and get him active in the offense. But there was one there was one route that I can recall where they were in the red zone and Jefferson ran a post back into the back corner, and he was double teamed like almost right away.
It was on the you're talking about on the Josh Oliver second touchdown.
I think yes, I believe so. There was another one too. If I'm not mistaken, JJ rifled one into Jordan Addison's hands, like near the goal line, and went right through his hands. And
I know the play. Yeah,
Jefferson took
right
one guy.
him.
Jefferson took one guy away, and he was double teamed in the back of the end zone. So I mean, these defenses just are refusing to let Justin Jefferson beat them.
And I don't think what people realize, because if you go back and you watch the tape on Josh Oliver's second touchdown, Justin Jefferson had an over route. And so he's man-to-man. At least that's what you think. But you don't see the safety on the other side that's coming to meet him, like in the middle. Like, look, you think you got him open? I'm backside. I got you. Then on the fourth down play, when they went to T.J. Hockenson for that touchdown at the end of the game, Justin Jefferson, again, doubled up. You got a safety right here, and then you got a corner eyeing him up. And it's like you got 2 guys out of 11 dedicated towards 1. So when people talk about, well, what can you do for Jets? Look, man, it's hard enough being a rookie quarterback. Then you're talking about trying to force-feed Justin Jefferson the ball because he's doubled, if not triple-teamed, on a majority of routes that he goes through. And I've been a firm believer in this dating back to my high school days, watching teams in college, even young quarterbacks in the NFL. When you have a superstar wide receiver, I think that stunts the growth of young quarterbacks all around. Because you know why? You know what everyone's saying? Get the ball to 18. It should be so simple. All right, well, now I'm throwing into double and triple coverage all the time and stuff like that. And then instead of just taking what the defense gives you, dink and dunk here, throw to the open man. All right, yeah, everybody may have 15 catches. My best player may have 1, but we're moving the ball. It's when you start getting fixated on, all right, pre-snap read, all right, we got single coverage over here to Jets. I'm going to him. Like the pass he threw to Justin Jefferson after he missed him on a wide-open play. They took a shot. They called up a play-action pass. He threw a fade ball to Justin Jefferson. Granted, it was one-on-one coverage, but that safety was already over the top of Jets. So if that safety just gets his balance and is a little more athletic, that's an interception for J.J. McCarthy because he had predetermined already he was going to Justin Jefferson because he needed to make up for missing him on that touchdown. So that's when young quarterbacks start to get in trouble, when they start to lean on those go-to receivers instead of just taking what the defense gives them, like J.J. McCarthy did today. And sometimes your star doesn't get the ball, but that's because he's being covered, not because your quarterback can't find him.
Okay. So where are we at? How big a victory is this for the development of J.J. McCarthy? Because now you're saying, well, they got to ramp this up. They can't stay simplistic. They've got to be deeper into this. So is this step 1? Is this a half a step? 3/4 of a step? Did he take 2 steps forward today?
Baby steps.
What did he do?
Baby steps. I mean, well, and here's the interesting thing, because when you look ahead to next week and you're playing Dallas, as good as Minnesota's defense has been over the last few weeks, who knows if Dallas is going to be playing without CeeDee Lamb yet or not. But Brian Schottenheimer and that Dallas offense has been one of the best units in football season long. So you are going to have to score to keep up with the Dallas Cowboys. And to Ahmad's point, you can't.
You're doubting Flores' defense?
I'm not.
You think he's giving up points?
I'm not.
You just said they got to score next week to win.
I'm not.
They put 31 on the board this week.
No, I think what he's saying is if the Vikings offense doesn't go out and score, you got to be able to. You got to score.
It's not going to be. I don't anticipate seeing a 19-13 type game next week. And if that is the case, then if that's the final score, my guess would be that Minnesota would be on the losing end of that. Now, I know there are holes.
Doubting Flores.
I know there are holes on Dallas's defense. However, they have been better since the trade deadline. But
they've been terrific in stopping the run since the trade deadline.
They have been. I know that they had a tough game in Detroit the other night, but Detroit's offense, again, another top unit in this league. But I think it's baby steps for J.J. McCarthy, but it's a constant prove-it league. You have to prove it week in and week out. You had a good performance today. Okay, can you do it again? Mm-hmm. Can you do it again next week? So that's why I say it's just baby steps, and we've talked about this over the last couple of weeks. The rest of the season is all about the progression of J.J. McCarthy. Stop thinking if you win next week in Dallas and you're 6-8 and maybe you're 2 games out of a wild card, don't do this to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do this to yourself.
Yes, we're going.
Accept the fact that the postseason is out of reach for this team, and concentrate on the remaining handful of games.
Over.
Concentrate the remaining handful of games on the progression of your young quarterback.
I think it was a step forward today, baby step forward. There's still a lot of things that J.J. McCarthy needs to show people that he can do better, because he's put a little bit of stuff on film where people are like, oh, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do that. So according to some fans at home, there's not much he can do. So it was a baby step forward. All right, you played a bad team. You played a team with a 7-game losing streak, a game that you should win, but all the network analysts didn't think you would win because they pretty much have written off J.J. McCarthy. I saw a guy with the NFL Network come out and say that he's done, hadn't seen enough, need to go get a backup veteran quarterback. He's done. Like, it's like, dang, 6 games. All right, that's all you got for him. So it's like, but it's a step in the right direction, but as coaches say, you're only as good as your latest game. So, yes, you were good this game, but how can you follow that up on a Sunday night primetime matchup if you don't get flex? Like, that's where going to be all of America's watching you. So all of America already thinks you're this bad, horrible quarterback. Can you go under the lights when the stage is possibly the biggest it's ever been for him, going to Jerry's World, playing there in Dallas, and having to play in that game with those lofty expectations? Can you follow that up with what you did today? So, baby steps, but it's good for the offense. Everybody gets to go home smiling today. No one gets to go home and have to hear from their parents that came to the game like, hey, man, how y'all really feel about J.J. McCarthy? Tell me how you really – no one has to hear that today. So I think that's good for the players. That's good for their morale to go back to work knowing that they'll have a tougher game. But I know if one guy's going to be ready, it's going to be Brian Flores. He's going to be ready. He's going to be ready to take away CeeDee Lamb if he plays, or George Pickens, and, make the Cowboys run the ball, which is something they haven't been able to do the last 5 weeks. So it's going to be a good game. And if that offense showed up today, they have a chance to win. I'm not saying they win, but they have a chance to win.
All right, before we get out of here, we do have to talk about Flores' defense. This guy continues to just smell out everything that other teams try to do. And, it's pretty crazy is what they do. Even when the offense has struggled in this losing streak, they were not the problem.
Never.
No, and we talked about it with the offense in terms of players being there to make the plays that are there to be made. If you're a quarterback in this league, I would think long and hard about throwing laterally to Andrew Van Ginkel's side. I mean, the guy's just got that. The guy's just got that play cornered. I mean, they might as well name that play after him, whatever play you want to call it. But yeah, Brian Flores we've been a big advocate of him since he came over here. The man just seemingly has an answer for every single offense week in and week out. If you go back to last week against Seattle, it was a field goal fest for them. I mean, he kept Seattle out of the end zone. He rendered Jackson Smith and Jigba completely inert in that game. Sam Darnold had one of his worst games of the season against Brian Flores' defense. Jane Daniels back in the lineup today for Washington. Didn't do a whole heck of a lot, got knocked out of the game, and, they kept him out of the end zone, kept him off the scoreboard entirely. So I don't know how many more adjectives I can really start to think of for Brian Flores and his defense, and it's why, and we talked about this last week, I'm still a believer. At some point, I think he will be a head coach in this league one more time. I don't know what will happen with the lawsuit, but I'm a believer that he will be a head coach in this league one more time.
He's a genius defensively, and we've talked about it the last couple of weeks. I think a lot of people at home who were talking about the Vikings and their downfall and the defense and how good they hadn't been didn't pay much attention to Blake Cashman's absence and Andrew Van Ginkel. Both of those guys got hurt week 1 versus the Chicago Bears, and they both missed a ton of time, 4 to 5 games each apiece. Right. So you're talking about the two anchors of your defense missing time and then having to overcompensate for not having them. As soon as they got back out there, everything just started slowing down. Harrison Smith went from having, 15 to 20 snaps the first 3 weeks of the season to playing his usual reps again. And as one player told me defensively, when Harrison Smith is on the field, it makes us all play faster because checks come in a lot quicker, especially with Blake Cashman out there. Said no more second guess and all. Not to say that they second guess with Eric Wilson or Ivan Pace Jr. calling plays, but
Eric Wilson's been a hell of a stud.
He has been good. Terrific. Yeah. Terrific fill-in. But that's why he unseated Ivan Pace for that starting linebacker spot inside. But, yeah, I think having Cashman, having Harrison Smith back there, it makes this defense play with more confidence. Now they can get in their checks a lot faster. They can disguise a lot more and then just go play football. And so, look, the defense has been standing on their heads all year. It had been the offense putting them in terrible situations where they had to defend 25 yards, and it was inevitable for them to give up a field goal or a touchdown. When you see what happens when the offense can sustain drives, eat up some time of possession, and stay on the field. This is a good defense.
So next week, 31-0, Minnesota over Dallas. We'll talk about that after the game, right?
If CeeDee Lamb doesn't play next week and it's only George Pickens out there and Kevontae Turpin, I'm putting my money on the Vikings to win that game. Putting my money on the Vikings to win that game.
And speaking of putting money on the table,
is that your way of asking me who I think is going to win that game next week?
Yes.
I think the Dallas Cowboys will win the game next week. I think the Dallas Cowboys will win the game next week. I have more confidence in them offensively than I do Minnesota, even though it was a good performance today.
That's the line.
Where are we now? 6.5.
Oh, he maybe put some on the table.
6. Well, I like.
Although, always bet responsibly.
Or don't bet at all and save your money.
What he said.
I do like Minnesota plus 6.5 in the early going. I think the money will trend toward Minnesota plus 6.5 and move that line just a little bit down. But I do like the Dallas Cowboys to win the game.
All right, that'll do it for us. Your Minnesota Vikings are on the trail to the postseason. They win 31-0 over Washington. Nothing can stop them now. For Pierre, Ahmad, I'm Jim Rich. We'll see you next week.